activity, you were asked to choose one that does not belong and tell why. Now, there is a purpose for me assigning this activity to you guys. Let's see if anybody can come up with what that reason is after we finish going over your answers. All right, so volunteer to share your answer. Yes. Huh? What second one? You got a top, you got a bottom, you got a left, you got a right, you got to be specific. What's wrong with the top right? Okay, so he says that the top right does not belong because it represents 1 and all the rest of them represent 5. Yes?
I feel like it's 5. The one with the number 5.
Because?
The rest have dots on
Okay, so she says it's the top left because all of them have dots, and then that one is a digit. Does somebody have another reason? Yes. Bottom left because that one is smaller than the other 3. Does anybody have another answer? Yes.
Bottom right because that one's blue and the other ones are white.
Bottom right because that one is blue and the others are white. So there are 4 different pictures up there and there were 4 different answers. So as long as you had one of those, then you had a right answer, as long as your justification was correct. All right, so why would I give you an activity like this to start the class? What is it I want you to gain out of having done this? Yes? All right, that some problems have multiple answers to them. So just because your elbow neighbors have something else doesn't mean yours is wrong, right? So having the confidence in whatever your answer is. But the biggest part is giving me the justification, the why. Why is that the answer you got? If you can justify your answer, some credit is given, whether your answer is wrong or not. But if your justifications were correct, then you can receive some type of credit. But if you just give me an answer, I can't help you. It's either right or it's wrong. Okay? So if you had said, this one doesn't belong, but you didn't tell me why, I can say it's wrong. Why? Because there are how many other answers? There are 3 other answers. But you didn't tell me why that one is. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? All right. So today is pretty much set aside to go over the syllabus and to set up our composition notebooks. So we're going to start with the syllabus. I'm going to give each of you a syllabus, and I am expecting you to read it in its entirety. I'm actually going to give you time to do that. Now, if you choose to not read, that's on you. But if I were you, I would read the whole thing. first thing I'd like to do is commend you guys, because for most of the classes when I said read, a lot of them didn't read, but most of you actually did read, which is good, because I do like to give pop quizzes, and I definitely will give one on the syllabus. So you need to make sure that you are aware of the information in the syllabus. In the case that you happen to walk in one day and I say, hey, we're going to have a syllabus quiz today. Because I do want to make sure that you know the information that is in the syllabus. I mean, you are signing away your life saying that you read it and you understand what is said in it. So I'm going to hold you to that. All right? So I'm only going to emphasize a few things on it. Not going to go through the whole thing. For the first 9 weeks, tutoring is going to be Tuesdays. Well, I think I'm going to have to change that. It may change to Wednesdays and Thursdays. I just thought about, we got an email Friday, change of faculty meetings. Faculty meetings are usually on Mondays, and it's changed to Tuesdays, so I'm probably going to have to change that. I'll let you guys know what that is. All right? I tell you what we're covering this semester. So you've already had an opportunity to look through the book. You did that on Friday. So we were in Unit 1, which was quantities and modeling. So you are aware of what we're doing and when we're doing it. So when we finish Unit 1, we're going straight into Unit 2. So it's following the textbook. So it's not a surprise. So if there's something you want to look ahead at, you are more than welcome to, because you have the access to. What's on the right is what we'll cover second semester if you make it there. We'll discuss that shortly. So remember, on Friday I reminded you that you needed your composition book today and your 3-prong folder with pockets. We're going to insert something into the folder, and we're going to set up the first page in your composition book. Grading is the same in all classes, but I just want to emphasize that if you have 100 average and everything, like you make 100 on the quiz, you got 100 on the classwork assignments that I put in the grade book, and you fail the first test, you'll be failing this class. I just wanted to point out to you the importance of that 50%. It's a lot. It outweighs everything that's in the grade book. So if you fail the first test, you'll have a failing grade in the class, simply because you failed the first test. So the goal there is to pass the test. All right? If you make it a second semester, you do have to take a milestone for Algebra 1. It is worth 20% of your grade. So I always tell my students, my Algebra 1 students, to try to maintain a B average, at least a B average, so that no matter what happens, now the goal is that you score proficient on the milestone. But in the case that you don't and you fail it, you are still in a position to be able to pass the class, depending on what you make. We talked about this before. You do have a Part A, Part B. Math is the only exception to the rule. If you fail Part A, which you are in now, you will retake in January everything that you've done from August to December. I repeat that. If you have a failing grade, 69 or below, in December in this class, you will retake this class in January. You will not go on to Part B. Only those who pass Part A will go on to Part B. Now, in the other classes, in the other subject areas, if you fail Part A, you will go on to Part B, but you won't have a full credit. So they'll put you back in that class at some point. So the goal is, don't fail any part, because you'll end up back in them, because you have to have them for credit purposes. Remember, high school is about credit, so it isn't, this is my first year, so I'm a 9th grader, and next year, that's my 2nd year, so I'm a 10th grader. It doesn't work like that. If you don't have the correct number of credits to be classified as a sophomore, you'll be a freshman. That means it's your 2nd year of school, but you're not a sophomore yet. So you in between a freshman and a sophomore, so you'll be a freshman. and so on. So you got to make sure you get your credits, okay? Volunteer to read that third bullet under makeup work. Volunteer to read the third bullet under makeup work. Let's not all read it at the same time. Third bullet under makeup work. You volunteer to read for me? Yes, go ahead. Read that third bullet for me.
Class notes missed can be found by accessing the video in the class page in that motto. Therefore, there is no excuse as to having missing notes when absent from school for any reason.
So, at this present moment, I am recording everything that I say. That's why I am repeating what you say. And everything that is pulled up on this board is being recorded at this time. At the end of class, I will store it on Edmodo. We will talk about how you're going to access the information for your class when we set up the notebook. But if you are absent for any reason, the notes that you missed will be available, or whatever assignments were given out, you will see or hear on the video that will be posted at Edmodo. So there are no excuses as to why you didn't know, oh, I got a quiz tomorrow, or I got a test on Friday. You show up on Friday, oh, I didn't know because I wasn't here on Wednesday. There are no excuses. Any questions on that? What do you mean? You don't have to have a phone to access Edmodo. You can access it on the computer. All right? I will follow the tardy policy. Please keep in mind no food, drink, or gum allowed in class. Only exception is bottled water. The openings in your desk are not for trash. They are for the things that I need you to have for class, or your textbook when I give those out. Okay? So they are not there for you to put your trash. Your trash goes in the trash cans. There are 2 of them. One in the front of the room, one in the back of the room. Right now they are empty. But some days you come in, there'll be something in them because you need it for what we're doing in class. No personal grooming, so no brushing, combing hair, fixing your makeup, all that good stuff, no grooming. I will give no passes out. Not going to go over the electronic use policy. I think you guys have heard that enough that you know what it is. So let's talk about reaching for mastery. So if you read, you should be able to answer this question. Who must retake an assessment? I gave you specific information about who has to retake an assessment. So who has to retake an assessment according to reaching for mastery? What students? Yes? Anybody who does not demonstrate 100% mastery. So in other words, what score is that? 100. So if you don't score 100, the expectation is that you retake it so that you could possibly get 100. So let's talk about why. So I gave you an example at the top of the second page. So here's an example of a student who took test 1 and scored a 60. Then the student attended tutoring and did whatever remediation assignments that I gave. And some of that stuff is already set up. So then the student retook the test and they scored a 90. So let's talk about what goes in the grade book. First, I'm going to calculate the gross score. And that is calculated by taking the new score, subtracting the original score, so I can get the growth amount. So how many points did you grow from the first time you took it and then the second time you took it? So in this case, the student grew by 30 points. From a 60 to a 90 is 30 points. So I take 10% of that and I add it to the new grade. So the new grade was a 90. 90 plus 30% of 10% of 30 is 3. So that student gets a 93 as the growth grade. So what grades go in the grade book? The 90 replaces the 60, and then in the growth grade column, that student gets a 93. So instead of that student having an average of 90 for test grades, that student now has an average of 92, because when you combine the 90 and the 93, you get a 92. So the growth grade does not hurt you. It only helps you if you take advantage of the retake policy. Now, if you fail a test and you don't do a retake, that grade's going to go in the grade book twice. It will go in the grade book as the original grade, and it will go in the grade book as the growth grade. Any questions on that? So the ultimate goal is that everybody reaches mastery on every standard and concept that we cover in class. If you do that, then you won't have any problems on the milestone. The milestone won't be an issue. You just go, you take it, do what you need to do, and be done. But if you are one of those that does not show mastery on every concept and standard, you may have some issues on the milestone. Any questions? All right, so the last thing on the syllabus is the textbook policy. It should not be anything that you didn't already know, because I've already said quite a bit of it. However, I am going to read the textbook policy in its entirety, so no one can say I didn't know. So everybody make sure you are looking at the textbook policy. Follow along as I read it aloud. Students are issued one textbook to use in class and at home. We do not have enough textbooks to issue a double set of books to every student. We cannot check out additional textbooks to students who forget to bring their book to class. I will do periodic book checks to make sure that you have the book that was checked out to you. The cost of a lost, stolen, or damaged textbook is $123. If the property has been willfully cut, defaced, or otherwise damaged, or if the student refuses to return it at the request of a district employee, the district shall afford the student his or her due process rights and subsequently may withhold the student's grades, diploma, and transcripts until the student or parent or guardian has paid all damages. As provided by law, the parent or guardian of a minor shall be liable for all damages caused by the minor's misconduct. All right? So what are the expectations for you? Be responsible for the book that is checked out to you. Do not write, highlight, or draw in it. Keep your book in your possession. Do not leave it in the classroom, on the table, or in a friend's locker. Do not loan your book to anyone, not even your best friend. Make sure you can see your books or backpack at all times. Keep a book cover on your book. Use a paper grocery bag to make a cover, or you can buy one from the store. It doesn't matter. Make sure that you put your name on it. Keep your book away from all liquids. That includes rain, spilled drinks, and leaky water bottles. Wet books that develop mold cannot be used. Students will receive an obligation. That means you'll have to pay to replace the book. So that's why I said to you it's important that you get a locker, especially if you have a mesh book bag. Let's say you're getting ready to go home at the end of the day and it's storming outside and you got your textbook in there. What's going to happen? It's going to get wet, which means it's damaging the book. You know what it does to a sheet of paper. Imagine what it's going to do to a textbook. So if you have a locker, you don't have to worry about that because it's in a locker when you get ready to go home, not in your book bag. Because remember, you have access online. I've already showed you how to do that. All right? Keep books in a safe place at home out of the reach of pets and small children. Return textbooks in good condition on or before the last day of class. Please remove any labels or post-it notes that you may put in it. And if you know that you're getting ready to transfer, make sure that you get your book checked into the media center prior to, well, they'll check with us anyway, so it won't matter. All right, what I am not responsible for: storing your book in my classroom. I've already said that to you before. Collecting or returning your book to the media center. You will check them out through the media center. You will check them in through the media center. Any textbook checked out to a student that was lost or stolen because it was left in the classroom. So if you leave it in the classroom, is that responsibility mine? No, it is yours. To figure out, hey, I left my book, I need to go back and get it. Any questions on the syllabus? Any questions? So, you each received a little slip that had where you have to sign and a parent or guardian has to sign. Remember, you will not receive a physical textbook until that has been returned. If you're one of those that like to sign your parent's name without them really knowing what's in that syllabus, that's on you. But if you damage the book, your parent cannot say, I didn't know, because you did not share the information with them. Okay? All right. Your syllabus is the first thing that goes in the 3 prongs in your folder that you're responsible for having. So you need to insert this into your 3 prongs in your folder. That will be the first information. You're going to put some more information in it tomorrow. Ms. Bullock in the office, just tell her to go to the office and tell her you want to purchase the locker, and they'll take it where you need to go. All right, so we're going to set up the first page in your notebook. Starting tomorrow, your bell ringers will be, they'll go in your composition book. You get one of them markers on the back. I don't have any Sharpies. Maybe one of your classmates have one you can borrow. All right, so in your composition book, the margins are sacred. They are reserved for specific information. So I will tell you when you will be writing in the margin. Otherwise, you need to keep your margins clean. Okay? Everybody got that? So if you got to carry on, if you don't have any more space, you're going to have to drop down to the next available space between the margins. Don't write in the margins, because we're going to be using the margins for something else. All right, so if you don't have your composition book, you can write the information down and you can transport it when you get one. The very first line on the first page, beside the left margin, you're going to put your name. Beside the right margin, you're going to put your period. So your name goes on the top line on the left, and the period goes on the right. Underneath your name, you are going to write book code. So when I actually issue you a textbook, there is a label in the back of the book. You are going to copy that down beside book code, so that if you think somebody has your book or y'all switch books by mistake, you can check that book code because there's a label in the back of the book. So it should match it. Right now, you don't have anything to put beside it because I haven't issued textbooks. Once you've written book code, you're going to skip a line. Then you're going to write Edmodo. Then username and password. If you already have an Edmodo account and you know your username and password, go ahead and fill it in. If you have to create one, when you create it, that's where you will record your information. People tend to forget what it is. Now, your code to join your class, I'm going to put in blue, and you can write it beside the right margin. So the code for your class is NIYPWR. That's the code to join your class. So after you have written Edmodo, username and password, you're going to skip a line, then write USA Test Prep, username and password. Once they get you in USA Test Prep, I will give you the information you need to write beside it.
What if we already have an account? What if we already have an account?
For what?
You say test prep?
That wouldn't be for this school. You guys aren't even in the system right now. So after writing USA Test Prep, username and password, you'll skip a line and then write Khan Academy, username and password. So we utilize each of these resources throughout the year. So as your information is given to you, you need to make sure that you record it in your book. And then the last one is Brain Genie. So make sure you skip a line between Khan Academy and Brain Genie. Now, beside Brain Genie, I have already told you what your login information is. So don't copy first dot last. Actually write what yours is. So your username will be your first name dot last name minus any symbols that you have in your name. So it's only the letters. So if you have a dash in your name, the dash isn't included in your username. If you have an accent or apostrophe, those aren't included in your username, only the letters. And your password is your lunch number. A lot of the remediation assignments will come out of Brain Genie. That is also how I know whether you guys have mastered the standards. Once you have that information, if you want to download the Edmodo app and go ahead and join your class, you are more than welcome to do so. We are 5 minutes from that extra 25-minute period before we go to lunch. So I am done with everything that I need to give you for today. If you have any questions, please see me. But again, if you would like to go ahead and join your class, you are more than welcome to do so on Edmodo.